Greetings and salutations. Horror kind of sucks, doesn't it? Look, I love slashers. I think the slasher genre is one of the most fun and sometimes, when it's done right, most scariest parts of the subgenre in horror. Now, that being said, it's rare for me to think paranormal movies are scary. I actually prefer ghost videos on YouTube more because they seem more suspenseful and mysterious. Anyways, to the point of the title of this video, I feel like horror fandom and the horror genre has a bit of a problem. They want their movies to be deep, psychological, or elevated. There's that word. Elevated horror. You can thank Scream 5 for that, which was titled Scream, because Halloween 2018 started something that got old real fast, including taking part in elevated horror. Elevated horror to me can be done well, and sometimes, I guess, be good or be for the best, but I also think it's an excuse for some horror fans or people who don't really like or appreciate horror to say that they are horror fans and pointing to films that have to sound like someone's first year psych student bullshit. Yeah. Now, honestly, when it comes to elevated horror, especially in the slasher genre, maybe Halloween 2018, just the first one, not Ends, definitely not Ends. Kills was more of a slasher, but Halloween 2018, I would say, did a decent attempt. It wasn't still the best, but I understand they wanted to try to deal with large trauma, but honestly, I feel like we've already seen that with Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, done to a more extreme level, but it seemed more realistic about how damaged Laurie could be. And we also seen that before with Halloween H2O, and honestly, I feel like H2O did it more tamed, but also more, realistic as well. That being said, elevated horror, when it comes to the slasher genre, sometimes can be for the best, but most of the time it's also for the worst, because it doesn't really focus on trying to scare you. It more so focuses on, like, hey, look how deep we are. We're so deep. Look what we did here. Don't you feel bad for this character? We're so deep, and this is a metaphor for this and that, and blah blah blah. Which, again, sometimes if it's done right, it works. Other times, well, most of the time, it really doesn't work, and it's unnecessary. To me, I think horror needs to kind of go back to being like, hey, we're a slasher genre, and sometimes people just want to come here to have a good time. Does that mean get scared? Yes and no. But also, some people just like the storylines or the fact that they are kind of crazy. Jason X, for example, is one of my favorite of the franchise. I know some people hate it, but it's a fun film. The Leprechaun movies are also fun. I even like the one where he goes to space. I even like the ones where he's in the hood. Yes, I'm... The ones that probably ruined the franchise are the ones I actually like. Killer Clowns from Outer Space, a fun movie, in my opinion. I also love Ginger Dead Man and the Evil versus the Evil Bong movies. I feel like those can be fun, and they are really bad, but they're fun, and I can enjoy watching them, and it's, just the way it is. I feel like, yes, there's flaws, a lot of flaws, but it doesn't mean it makes the film bad or the horror genre as a whole look terrible. It's meant to be for fun. And also, just to go back to like modern slashers too, I felt like Freaky with Vince Vaughn. I felt like that was a good horror movie. The ending was a little hit or miss. It was a miss, in my opinion. Hard Eyes, I felt like that wasn't too terrible. I mean, again, I kind of compare it now, the new slasher movies, I kind of compare them to major franchises that are trying to be elevated or do something completely wacky with them. And most of the time I end up like, okay, this is commentating on this, but it actually works and it's not taking itself too seriously. I think that's where slashers and horror have a big issue. They sometimes take themselves a lot too seriously, way too seriously. And that's where I'm just I don't have too much fun with them. Now, sure, like for Scream, for example, keep going to go see them because I hope that there will be a scary Scream movie, or we'll get something like Drew Barrymore's death scene from the first movie. And the same goes for Halloween. I hope that we'll get a good movie at some point. But at the end of the day, when it comes to elevated horror or modern horror, they take themselves a bit too seriously, and it can make the film suffer as a whole too, and maybe even the franchise and fandom. And again, these are just my opinions, and like I said before, they can usually work, but most of the time, a lot of the time, it doesn't. And Halloween Ends is one of those examples. Some of the modern Scream movies, they don't really have a whole lot in it, but they commentate on it, and it kind of does make it where, great, we have a word or a term for these things now. And that's basically it. It's just how it is with horror. So I guess with that being said, that's all I have for this video. That's all I have on my opinions on modern horror films and why I think modern horror, and it kind of sucks. At least when it comes to like what is deemed, I guess, more popular in horror. Like when there's a new movie coming out and everyone's talking about it and say it's the best thing in the entire world, and you go see it and it's like, okay, I get that it's kind of artsy-fartsy, or it has some elements of horror in it, and I can see why you like it. But again, it's more of a subgenre too. Most people who are into horror would prefer something, again, like slashers or paranormal, or just a thriller altogether. And not everything is for everyone, I guess I could say. But when it comes to slasher films, they definitely taken a leap into more of the whole everything must be like Halloween 2018, because Halloween 2018 was successful and it did start something. And maybe we should blame Halloween 2018 and David Gordon Green and Blumhouse. Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Tell me your guys' thoughts in the comments below. Do you feel like modern horror movies definitely have a problem? Do you think it kind of sucks, or do you have hope? Do you have hope as well? Do you think maybe we're going through a phase, which I believe we are too, because it always happens with horror movies or any type of pulp culture during a certain time, when a whole film is successful and everybody else for some reason has to copy it. For example, Scream was successful and that had imitators. Halloween was successful, that definitely had imitators. Do you think we're just at that point and we just have to wait for something good to come out that will relaunch into something new and better? Leave your comments down below. I'd be interested in hearing them. And if you like this video for some unknown reason, please hit that like button. Or if you don't feel like hitting that, leave a comment down below. Or if you don't like doing any of those things, why don't you subscribe? And if you also don't feel like doing that, then either way, thank you for watching, and I hope you got something interesting from this video, or anything like that. And I'm just happy you stuck this long in the video. You deserve a reward, sincerely. And that's it. Do all those things if you feel like it. Don't. I'm not your dad. I'll see you all next time. Bye.